Ahmed Chatri, hello there, good to see you. Ahmed says, Mr. Mehran, I'm from Morocco. Could you please give us a definition of depression, how to avoid it, how to overpass it? How many of you remember the anecdote I told you about Nasruddin, the Turkish philosopher? I don't know if you remember or not, because this question reminds me of that. And I'm going to tell you that joke again, because after all, we're having a little fun while we're exploring important subjects. So Nasruddin was thousands of years ago, Nasruddin was a Turkish philosopher, very well known in that neck of the wood, and he would travel all around different cities and different villages and give speeches about wisdom and philosophy and life and so on and so forth, and very famous and very welcomed everywhere. So in one of his travels, he was traveling with his camel driver. So he and his camel driver, the camel and the camel driver, so he was on the camel and the camel driver was driving, pulling the camel, leading the camel. So he was going from city to city, and he was giving speeches about life and philosophy and wisdom and all that, and it was wonderful. So the first night, and the second night, the second city, and then the third city, then they went on to the fourth city, and they went on to the fifth city, and Nasruddin would give the same speech every night, and just glorious. When they got to the 10th city and the speech finished, and they went and traveled toward the 11th city, and they were camping outside of the city night before, so the next day would go inside the city and the Nasruddin would give his speech. When they were having a little fire outside of the city and sitting around, the camel driver said to Nasruddin, he said, well, you know what? It's not that difficult what you do. I mean, I can do the same speech just as good as you. I mean, because, he's been hearing it for the past 10 nights, same speech, and he's now become proficient in it. He knows exactly what Nasruddin says and how he says it, everything about it. So he says, yeah, I can do the same thing. It's no big deal what I don't know what's the fuss about. Nasruddin says, oh, okay, no problem. The next city, they don't know me. So why don't we switch places, and I become the camel driver, and you sit on the camel, and you become Nasruddin. When we enter, they think you're Nasruddin, and you go on the stage, and you do your speech. No problem. He says, okay. So next morning, they switched places, and they went to the city, and of course, the city welcomed them, and now the camel driver is sitting on the camel, and Nasruddin is pulling camel as a camel driver. So they welcomed him, and they took Nasruddin, which is now the camel driver, to the stage and to the big area and thousands of people there. And sure enough, the camel driver, posing as Nasruddin now, gave his speech just as good and perfect as Nasruddin himself, because he's been hearing it for the past 10 nights. Until it came to the question-answer period. And somebody asked the question, and of course, the camel driver, now posing as Nasruddin, did not have the wisdom, only could repeat the speech like a parrot. And they asked the question, and he, of course, didn't know the answer. And he thought it through quickly and said, this question is so primitive and so easy that even my camel driver can answer it. So he got Nasruddin as a camel driver to come in. Now, I'm actually looking for my camel driver, because that question is not an easy question. However, I will attempt. Ahmed, we all have fears, and we all have questions about why things are not going the way I go. Why should I have this or not have this? What it does for me if I have it? What fears or what circumstances or consequences would it be if I don't have this, or if I can't do this? And all those fears, uncertainty, in pursuit of psychological security, which is illusory and we never really get it, but we hang on to things in order to feel that we are closer to that psychological security. In pursuit of that psychological security, we make so many different trades, so many different deals with our own psyche. And because all this interaction between our thoughts and our consciousness, the controller, our consciousness, and the controlled, our thoughts, the watcher, our consciousness, and the watched, our thoughts. Because these are happening inside our brain, and these are the only thing that is really our talking to each other or affecting each other, we tend to think their expectations or what they conjure up in there is actually something that we should have or not have, or we pay attention to it, of their desires, of their thoughts, of their interaction. For that reason, we think something is necessary or something is not necessary. In order to be able to comply with what the consciousness is asking, thought will act according to what the consciousness is posing a question in there. And through that, we think we're going to achieve a psychological security, which we have conjured up many things in order to have an illusion of achieving that psychological security. We used to worship rocks and stones because our thoughts said to us that rock that you shaped in your own basement and put two eyes on it, now if you pray to it, it will give you what you're asking for. So we believed it. Why? Because it was inside us who said it will give you. So there was no other thing, other source for us to tell us what is not. So this is the only source. So because it believed that this piece of rock can give me my wishes and can bring a better harvest, I believed it. So I started worshiping. So what am I worshiping? Is it the rock, or am I worshiping my own creation, which my own creation comes from my own thoughts? So I'm actually worshiping my own thoughts. Whatever God I have made out of these rocks, I've made out of my own thoughts and consciousness. So in fact, really, it is not the rock that I'm worshiping. It is my own thoughts that I'm worshiping. I'm believing in it in such a way. And this thought is what causes us to think something is good or bad, negative or positive. I should have it or I shouldn't have it. It is detrimental for me to have it or not have it, which brings certain kind of illusory beliefs to the point that if we have it, we're happy. If we don't have it, or it's not the way we thought of it, it brings depression to us. Of course, you know that I'm not a doctor of medicine. My education is not in medicine. So I cannot tell you that I know about the causes of it or how to treat it, because I'm not a doctor. I want that to be very clear. I can tell you only about my studies and research and understanding about how the mind moves in that subject. But you need to ask this from your doctor and ask remedies or whatever it is according to wherever you are. So I want to make that clear. These are philosophical talks, not medical discussions. So for me, as anybody else in life, we all go through some depressive times and depressions. And that mostly comes, in my opinion, about the lack of psychological security. And in order to create that psychological security, we hang on to things. I may even hang on to this as my lucky charm cup because I thought it so. There's nothing lucky about or unlucky about this thing. But I thought it so. And my thoughts is my creation, is my world, is how I interact with the actuality of life. So I create and conjure up something that is really not true in my mind. And I act on it as if it is, because it gives me a certain feeling of psychological security, certain feeling. I accept and create that feeling of psychological security, and I believe in it. And therefore, I feel better. And the same way, something that comes up in my mind that makes me not feel good, and I believe in that I shouldn't feel good, which is the cause of my depression. I believe that it is detrimental to my life. I must have it. I don't have it, so I'm depressed. But having said all these, and understanding that these are a little bit discussion about how thought plays into that, what we think makes us feel the way we think. Our thoughts create our feelings, how we feel. I have a seminar that I did for one of the universities last year. It's called The End of Fear, that discusses about the role of thought and fear, how we feel, how we thought, how we feel, how we fear, and the connection of the two, which is very unique. In fact, if you go on my site, there's 10 minutes of it free, and you can listen to it. You get a lot out of it. But beside this, there's of course ways to deal with depression, depending on its level. Of course, the number one is to check with your doctor. Number two, though, on limited ways, always must be fit in exercise. When you exercise, dopamine and oxytocin and all these chemicals are naturally created, which brings you to a higher level of hopefulness and happiness. So little exercise to your level, to your fitness level, is very important every day to create this flow of energy. You see, if you stand in front of the ocean and put your hands into the water and bring a bit of the water of the ocean, you say, "My water." In your eyes, excuse me, in your eyes, it's your water. But in the eyes of the great ocean is part of the great ocean's water in your hands. Same thing, we have encased some energy, some life in our physical body, and we say, "My life." In my eyes, this is my life, what makes me to be alive. The part of energy that keeps me alive. But in the eyes of the great nature, the great universe, it's part of the great nature's energy, part of the great nature's life is within me. So what I have in me is part of the universal life. If I don't recognize this, I feel I'm alone. Therefore, I'll be depressed. But if I recognize that this energy that I have as my life is coming unlimited from one end of the universe to the other, and it encases me and binds me and helps me to function and gives me the energy that I need to function every day. Now, if I keep that water that we were in front of the ocean and keep it out of the ocean for a while, that water starts stinking, gets spoiled, because there is no conflux. If I want it to be fresh, I got to let it back in the ocean water and have it conflux, interchange with the great ocean's water to keep it fresh. Same thing with me. If I don't understand how to have and create conflux between the energy encased in my body and the energy of the nature universe, then I will have a cooped up energy and it will be susceptible to diseases because it's not fresh anymore. But I also, like the water in the ocean, must let my energy, my portion of life, have conflux, interchange with this energy of the universe, which through exercise, creating this conflux, having the cooped up energy go out and new energy come in, just like when you cook in the kitchen and the smoke comes out from the cooking and you open the window and let the smoke go out and new fresh come in, then everything is again as it is. Same thing, you need to have a bit of an exercise to have this flow of energy change. Through meditation, to be able to understand the flow and conflux and improve that flow of energy that comes to us, because that what we don't see is part of what keeps us alive. That energy, that frequency, that when you sleep at night automatically comes to us and we're charged up. So when we get up in the morning, we're vigorous and full of energy. But even if you don't do anything, if you don't go to work, but sit on the couch and watch a movie or watch TV all day long, at the end of the day, we feel exhausted. Because through that day, while sitting on the couch doing nothing, there's been something facilitating our livelihood, our life. That's called ki. That's called energy. Japanese call it ki. And that energy is what needs to have conflux between the energy of the universe, which is always in the motion. And that you can create the same way by exercising, by meditating, because meditation is the same as when you sleep and your mind accepts the frequency of the energy flowing through the universe. And when you meditate, you actually enter in the same frequency, that you get charged up with new, fresh energy, which helps you feel elated and more of those chemicals naturally created in your body, and you feel hopeful, you feel not depressed, you feel energetic through the exercise, through eating proper, not eating junk and so much sugar and all that, and meditating. And then you feel, and as soon as you feel good, do something about it. Put it to work. And create the habit of hopefulness. And the ritual of the meditation every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And the ritual of exercise every day, 5, 10, 20, 15, depending what you like, half an hour walk. And these will create that machine which turns and creates conflicts within your energy and energy of the universe, which helps the combating the depressions that we all feel at one time or another in different levels. Now, if it's on chemical levels and due to some chemical imbalance, that is not my forte, and that is where you need to speak with your doctor and see what their views are. I hope that would be something to give you some information about your question. I hope I addressed it enough to give you something to ponder. Alex. Okay. Now, Michael says how to deal with the stress. Stress is part of life. You all think of stress as something devious. It all depends on how you handle it. Have I told you guys about the lobster story? You know, lobster is a mushy, gooey thing inside the hard shell. And when the gushy, mooey thing grows as it gets older and wants to get bigger, it gets to the point that it can't expand any further because of the shell that is covered it. It's a hard shell, it can't expand. So that gives the lobster stress. That stress causes it to get rid of the old shell, goes and finds somewhere safe under the rocks in the ocean and sheds the shell, that hard shell out and completely brings a new one, creates a new one a little bit bigger. So now he has place to expand. So this stress causes him to grow. When you have a stress in life, like that lobsters, you gotta use it to grow, learn from it to grow, deal with it to grow. Otherwise, stress is not always bad. How you handle it is what makes it bad or good. Learn the lessons from the stresses, and of course do your exercise, do your meditation, what we just talked about. Create this conflux and become stronger, just like when you become strong when you go to the gym and lift weights, and slowly you train yourself and your muscles become stronger, so you can now deal with maybe more challenging weights because you worked up to it. You built yourself, you prepared yourself, you trained yourself. The same thing through meditation, exercise, and feeling of understanding of what the stress can do for you. Train yourself and become stronger in the way of power to deal with the stress. accept and understand the stress is part of this life. We are living in a dualism. We're living in a relative world. We're not living in a stress-free. We're not living in an absolute universe that everything would be exactly as it should be. So there is no ups and downs and ifs and buts and all good and dandy and all perfectly as it's supposed to be. This is the journey that we have lots of potholes. We fall in there, we get up and get out of it, and next time we know there's a pothole, we'll jump over it or we'll go around it. So stress, this is how you handle it, and this is how it's an opportunity for you to get stronger and bigger and better and more wiser, smarter, more skillful. Okay, that's enough. Reminds me of Austin Power. Too many examples on this one. So I hope, Michael, that was something for you to ponder on. So guys, Alex, could someone tell me what time it is? I wonder if I have spoken more than our normal hour. 11:50. Okay, that is time for me to say goodbye. I was delighted to be here. I was happy to have this opportunity to discuss things with you. Thank you for being here, giving me the opportunity to share these things with you. Who says no? David, I have to go. You guys gonna get tired of me. And remember, watch the YouTube channel. The title, the link is up there. And watch for new videos coming. Check my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, please do. More than happy to do so. I do that on a daily basis with people around the world through Skype. And there is, of course, a VIP videos of 120 videos that is not listed on YouTube, and you can become a member on the site. I don't know, it's $5 a month or something, very nominal, to have access to more of that. And soon I'll have a new elaborate video that is in the works. And thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share these things with you. And I look forward to talk to you next week. And please go on my Facebook page, Mind That Seeks Truth. Again, the link is up there, and like it so we'll be in touch. And we'll have more of this discussion soon, I hope. And Carrie says, thank you. Have a super day. You too, dear. I love you all. Thank you again for being here. Take good care of yourself and the others, and sort things out. And I talk to you guys next Saturday on my own Facebook page, which the link is up there, Mind That Seeks Truth, and next Sunday right here on the Amazing Things in the World channel. And I thank WittyFeed for providing and facilitating this opportunity to talk to you guys through this medium. Have a wonderful day and week, guys. David, I'll talk to you guys later next week soon. Love you all, and thank you very much. Talk to you later.